Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Shankly Sessions, the Liverpool podcast we bring you each and every week. If you could head out there to YouTube, the upper tier, smash that subscribe and bell notification button, and as always, drop a like on the video. This is your Nottingham Forest versus Liverpool preview. Big game for us tomorrow, lunchtime, live from the city grounds. I have to say, at the start of the season, this is a place that I wasn't looking forward to going to, because it's a tough place to go. Real old school ground, plenty of history, boisterous and vocal fan base. So always a tough place to go. But this season it hasn't really been as tough as people were expecting. Forest rooted to the bottom of the division. 6 points, minus 16 goal difference, and only one win all season. Really, really poor. And I think we were kind of shocked a week or so ago when Stevie got a new contract. But safe to say, we were also applauding them during the transfer window. I think they brought in 22 or 23 new signings. So no shortage of players there for Stevie. But I think, as Darren has mentioned before on the upper tier, maybe he has too many options now, and he seems to be, changing things willy-nilly without giving it a chance to kind of see what works and what doesn't between players and also between formations and stuff like that. If he has a bad result, he basically just bins it straight away, and he's quite trigger happy in the way he changes things without giving stuff a chance to see could have bed in and work for him. And I think that's been part of the problem. For us, I mean, we're coming off that West Ham win, which was very, very different, obviously, to the previous win against Man City, where we were absolutely electric. Trent back in the side, I thought the other night he was just a little bit lackluster, and just didn't seem to be on it at all. Seemed to be way off the plan of where everyone else was and stuff like that. So we'll get into this preview anyway and see where it takes us. Of course, as always, if you're in the chat, let us know your score prediction and also let us know your predicted lineup. Be interesting to see, because we do have options, but we do have to keep an eye on to next week, where we are playing Ajax in a really, really big game where we need to at least secure a point to qualify for the next round. And I'd preferably like to get that done next week rather than going into that last Napoli game, where I don't think we're going to be able to secure a top of the group place, but we'll at least come second and qualify for the next round. So that Napoli game might be irrelevant, because I was expecting Napoli to absolutely pump Rangers the same night. So I think what we'll do is that Napoli game will probably be a kind of a throwaway game, really, where we can just put players in there that kind of need minutes and stuff like that. But yeah, we need to be very careful about this Forest game, even though we have one eye on Ajax. Yeah, absolutely, Dave. Hang on now, and I'll pop the link into the comments there for you. Love to have you on, mate. Just 1 second there now. There you go. If you want to pop on, Dave, jump on there and I'll let you in. Absolutely. Great to have you on board. But yeah, as I was saying, it's going to be an interesting game. You kind of describe it like as an old English league, Division 1 or kind of game that we would be facing and stuff like that. They are a hostile crowd, no room for complacency and stuff like that. So I'm kind of thinking, I wonder, do you kind of rest players and stuff like that, or do you go out there, you put your full team out as much as you can, kind of get the job done pretty quickly and then hook the players off? Or do you keep the players on the bench in the inevitable chance that you might need them, and put them on? I'd rather get the job done and hook them off and get them ready then for Wednesday. I suppose the key risk for us is Thiago, because he's the creative guy and stuff like that. So the question is, do we start Thiago or do we not? There's also questions over a number of other players as well. I'm going to get Dave in here now. It'd be great to have him on.
How are you?
Brother, how are you? What's happening?
Oh, good, baby. Time crunchy. It's Friday.
Oh, absolutely. Looking forward to a lunchtime game. I always like these lunchtime games. Get the
I know
point.
Klopp doesn't like them. He hates the fucking half-12. Sorry, favorite course.
No. That's because of the Friday hangover. He's probably out with the beer on a Friday night.
Probably out with
he doesn't
Stevie
like.
G on the beer tonight.
Yeah, by the sounds of things. What did you make of that?
I think it was inevitable, to be honest. I think if it wouldn't happen this week, it would happen next week. The downward. I mean, Coutinho didn't work for them either. Did it? It worked for a few games, and we're saying, geez, we should have took him, but it didn't really work in hindsight. It's a big club, Villa. I mean, historically a big club, European Cup winner City, if you're listening. You know what I mean? Great ground, big fan base. And I think it was a tough take from the Rangers. He did so well with Rangers, and then Premier League, as we've seen only 2 weeks ago with Rangers, it's a different league altogether. It's a big job. I think he needs to take a little break now, do a bit of World Cup punditry, and maybe get back on the yockey in January. Maybe even come to Liverpool. Maybe even take another 21s or something like that, and come up through and learn from the master himself, Jurgen Norbert Klopp.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to hear in the press conference today that he had contacted him and they had a chat and all after the news broke and stuff like that. But yeah, I think you're right. I think he was kind of game to game there at that stage, wasn't he? Really, and once, and that was a real poor performance last night. In fairness,
but that was a 6-pointer against a team that you're going to be fighting relegation. I mean, Fulham 3-0. I know they were 10 men, but you don't want to be losing games 3-0 away. Fulham, you don't. It can't. It was he's in trouble. But listen, he'll enjoy his World Cup. He'll be probably on the punditry in Qatar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he may not enjoy it if you're out there. You might be better off staying in England to do the punditry.
I don't know where
a few scoops or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. But what do you make? What are you thinking on tomorrow? Then it's a tough ground to go to.
I'll tell you, there's a few questions. I did loads of podcasts, but I did one last night in the Forest channel. Mr. Dorr, actually, check it out. It's called Mr. Dorr, big Nottingham Forest channel, and he was saying they're expecting to get beaten tomorrow. I mean, they've only got 1 win out of 11. You've only got 6 points, 3 draws, 1 win, 7 losses. 7 losses. I thought, to be honest, they would have done a lot better. I really did. I thought the home form. We played them in the quarterfinals last year. We lost 1-0, and it could have gone either way. That game, Jota scored. That was a tough game. They won the championship. Cooper had them rocking and rolling. I think they brought in too many players, to be honest. I think they brought in 13 or 14 players. It doesn't help.
22 players they brought in.
For fuck's sake.
So you know what it was? If he had only brought in 11, he'd probably have a settled squad, and he'd know what he's doing. The fact that he's 22 players like an American football team, he keeps them chopping and changing every week when stuff doesn't work. So
I think they're in trouble. No matter what happens against us tomorrow, I think we should be beating them anyway, even though we have a few injury risks and the hamstrings. And Nunes is a bit of a doubt for tomorrow. I'm a bit worried about that one. We cannot afford to risk him and lose him with Jota and Diaz out. We've got to literally wrap him in bleeding cotton wool. And I mean, if there's any doubt him, I don't think he starts tomorrow, which changes the dynamic of the 4-2-3-1. It goes probably back to a 4-3-3 for me tomorrow if he doesn't play.
Especially with the game on Wednesday as well. Massive Ajax.
With the Ajax game, you need a point there. Yeah, I think Ajax will give us a game. I mean, they're huge. All our games are huge this side of the World Cup. I think we've Leeds then at Anfield Saturday week, 7:45 kickoff. And I mean, they're games that we can win. We can win all of them. We could even beat Ajax away, to be fair. They haven't been great. But we only need a draw. I just love to park that. Get the draw. Even if it's a draw, get it. You're into the Champions League. You don't even go near that till February, probably the 4th, 2nd week in February. That's gone. You've done your job. That's huge. That's a big monkey off your back for Klopp, especially. Get that out and then just concentrate on the next few league games. But tomorrow's big. I expect Liverpool to turn up, but the question is what starting 11 he does. It's got the 3 or 4 positions. Going to be hard to call.
Yeah, what are you thinking in terms of? I mean, do you think he'll probably start them reasonably strong and then hook them, or do you think he'll let guys sit down and rotate?
I think he's made mistakes in starting weak and trying to bleed and hook, and then you're 1-2-0 behind it. Away from home. I know it's only Forest at the bottom of the league, but it's not the point. You don't want to be giving Forest anything. I don't want to be giving them a sniff of anything. And
especially with the crowd. The crowd is
11
on top of you.
The crowd see it. It's a big ground, big old school English ground. They see the crowd that the likes of Nunes isn't playing. Now, I know there's a hamstring issue, and he rests like if a Thiago, or he rests Fabinho, or, and I don't want to see that. I want him to go. Listen, you go strong force, get your goal or two, then you can make your substitutions. You're allowed 5 substitutes. You can basically change half the bloody team. I think Jones has a shout for tomorrow. I really do. I know he likes Jones with his energy. Did all right when he came on the other night. And with the big Ajax game, I think he'd be more looking at more senior, like Thiago, like a Fabinho type I think Jones is a very good shout to start tomorrow. I really do. The likes of Elliott could come back in. Now, the question mark is, does Nunes start? If he doesn't, and I wouldn't risk him, I just wouldn't risk him. No chance.
We can't afford to lose another one.
If we lose him, we're in trouble. With Diaz and Jota gone, we'd be in deep
Absolutely.
trouble. We really would be in deep trouble. So I think Salah starts, Bobby starts. There's a shout for either Carvalho could play up there with them, or even Nunes, or even Elliott could play up there with them. And he could play the likes of a Jones, a Thiago, maybe a Henderson, rest Fabinho. You know, that type of way. Yeah, I think Trent comes back in. Robertson's there.
You have to be so careful, just so careful on the changes, because if he makes too many, we've seen there does be a massive drop off at times.
Yeah.
What have you made of Jones? The other night he looked a little bit rusty. In fairness, only back from injury, but
Curtis.
But he played him out kind of wide. I think he needs to play a little bit more narrow.
More inside,
if you notice when he's playing out there, he always seems to cut inside, and then he's
he likes being involved.
Else's.
He wants the ball. He likes being involved. He's an old school player.
Yeah.
He likes, he doesn't like hanging out in the wing. He's not that type of player, is he? He likes getting involved, a bit mouthy, a bit old school, Like
big season for him as
play
well.
5-a-side weight,
Yeah, big season for him as well. He needs a good season this season.
Injuries have caught him at the wrong time as well. He's only starting to break in, and he's starting to play and show what he's getting the odd goal. That goal he got in the FA Cup, remember, a few years ago against Everton?
Cracker.
Postage stamp. Remember that one?
Yeah, I was at that game.
Oh,
and I was at the Arsenal Cup game as well. Remember the Arsenal Cup game when he scored the winning penalty? Yeah,
brilliant.
it was a 5-5, wasn't it?
Oh,
and he scored the winning.
Remember
he scored the winning penalty. Yeah, he scored the winning penalty. I was at that one as well, and we were right on top of the Arsenal fans as well. It was great, brilliant.
But as you say, it is big for him, because now there's gaps there and there's places where he can fill in, and there's no real excuse. If he starts tomorrow, he'll have to play well, because we've obviously got the likes of Ox coming back in training this week. Naby was in. Naby lad, believe it or not, he got injured playing PlayStation. That's the only issue we have with him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And Kanate hopefully back Monday. So players are starting to come back, but it's the front line. We can't lose any more frontline players, or we're literally goosed. We're goosed.
What do you reckon tomorrow? You're going with Thiago? Thiago starts. We need that bit of creativity.
I'll give you the 11. As I say, Alisson obviously has been brilliant for us. Alisson is in there, obviously. I think it'll be a tough game. I think it'll be a tight game. A 1 or 2-1 type of. I don't think it's 3-4-0. I really don't. It's a tough game, tough ground. Alisson, Van Dijk, Gomez, that's the way it is. Obviously, Kanate's not back and Matip's not there. I think Trent comes in. I think Robertson on the other side. So you'll have a fairly decent back four. That's a nice solidity there. I think you have to have a Thiago midfield just for pulling the strings, and hopefully, if you're winning well, you can take him off with the other game in mind. I think it's
How did you feel? Tell us this. How did you feel about Trent the other night? He looked a bit off it, didn't he, compared to the other lads, even in terms of.
I actually did a video last night.
And
actually had Milner starting tomorrow. You know that?
Yeah. That was my thinking.
Trent for the Ajax game, but I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. He has 3 or 4 big decisions to make. I wouldn't be surprised if he started Milner tomorrow, just for that solidity. Get a goal or 2 ahead, then bring on Trent. You know, that type of way.
Yeah. Yeah, he just looks. I don't know what it is about him. He just looks a little off it, doesn't he? Even looking in the West Ham game,
confidence,
he didn't look.
He's getting riddled.
He didn't. Yeah, he didn't even look as if he had that kind of energy that the rest of the team have. He looked like he was a step away off the rest of the team. It just stuck out.
Well, I just hope he doesn't look at fucking social media. And he's a young fella. He probably does. Well, his mates would now. You know, that type of way. Being early 20s, his mates would. But no, I have no problems with Trent. He'd be okay. We know he's got defensive frailties, let's put it that way, but he gives us so much more going forward. But I wouldn't be surprised if, now I can't call the 11, but I think Milner's in with a shout. Has to be.
Yeah. I said it the other night in the West Ham game. I'm saying he must have been kicking himself after the way he performed against Man City. He was absolutely brilliant against Man City. And I'd be the first to put my hand up. I've questioned Milner most of the season. But against Man City, he was outstanding. And I was thinking...
He was up there for man of the match. He was up there, top 3.
Absolutely.
Top 3.
So he must have been disgusted then that he was hooked for Trent in the West Ham game.
I'll tell you what he did in the Forest game. That save at the end when he puts his foot in, your man's going to tap it in. That's 1-1 all over it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Millie Vanilli, Benjamin Button, Ribena boy, whatever you want to call him, whatever I call him. But I mean, he'll go on forever. I remember him playing for, I think it was Leeds. He's 16 or 17. He broke onto the scene. And I mean, this guy is Benjamin Button. He's just ridiculous. Wins all the lactate tests. He'll give you 100%. But I think he's in with a shout tomorrow. I don't know what Klopp's going to do there.
Yeah, give us your midfield.
Now, the midfield, as I said, is going to be the dodgy one. With the Ajax game as well coming up, we want to be very, very careful. He could do it two ways. He could go to 4-2. Depends on Nunes if he plays or not. Might go 4-2-3-1 to play Nunes. Then you have a Thiago or a Hendo. I think he saves Fabinho for the European game. But if he doesn't and goes 4-3-3, I think he'd go Thiago, Hendo, and Jones.
Okay, interesting. So
you've
give
got
us
the
then.
energy with Jones. You know what I mean? You get that energy. Hendo doesn't give us as much energy as he used to. But he protect the back four, and then you've Thiago just spinning around and hopefully feeding the front three. It's a bit of a gap, though. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do. He has options, though. I mean, one good thing to look at. But I think the big question mark is Nunes, whether he starts or not, because that changes the whole complexion of what he's going to do.
Yeah, look at these gunners here. We can't get these gunners out of the comments at all. No, it's Morris. He's on Honda, lads. Handy win for Forest. Liverpool should be hitting 6 or 7 here. Stop, Morris. Every time you say that.
Should be, but I take 1-0 now, to be fair.
Absolutely, yeah. What are you going? What's your front three then? What are you doing with your front three?
Well, obviously, Salah, Bobby, we've no real choice. Now, I'd love Nunes to start. I think he'd get a few goals tomorrow. I'd be very good for him confidence-wise, but he has a niggle. It's 50-50 whether he plays or not, or he's even on the bench, I think. If he doesn't start, young Carvalho, I mean, he was okay the other night. He'll give you something different. There's my little girl walking. It's like the BBC interview. You know, remember the kid came in?
Welcome to Panorama.
Panorama, yeah.
Welcome to Panorama.
Big questions. I mean, I haven't even mentioned Elliot here. Elliot, exciting teenager. But I mean, it's going to be hard. I mean, I like Carvalho. I like what I've seen of him. He gives you something different. I wouldn't be surprised if we went Carvalho, Salah, Bobby.
Interesting, yeah. No, not a bad shout at all now. Elliot, when you were talking about Jones there and the energy he brings, I was thinking of Elliot came on the other night and just got stuck in. And he was absolutely brilliant against City as well. He was an absolute ball of energy. Because I did say earlier in the season, I think he played the first 5 games or something like that, and he looked absolutely banjaxed, Elliot did. It was like he was carrying the side during those games. So it was great to see him come back on and look fresh and all. What up?
That's my daughter and a friend in the background. I'll be 5 minutes.
Gate crashing the party.
But look, I'm going to go now in a minute anyway. I've done a before podcast today. I actually took the day off today from work, so I said I'll do a few podcasts to fill in the time. You know, it's great. But you're doing a great job, by the way, my friend. You're doing a great job.
Cheers, appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love your own as well. I do watch it all the time and all and stuff.
Do you know what? Do you ever go to the Anfield rap shows when you come over to Dublin? Do you live in Dublin? You live in Dublin?
No, I'm down in Wicklow.
Oh, well,
I'm down in Wicklow. Yeah, I'm down in Greystones. Yeah.
I know. Well, yeah. But the Anfield Rap are actually coming on the 3rd of December in the Sugar Club in Dublin. It's a great night. You come up. It's a great night.
I must go up and I must go and have a look. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'd be great.
I'll meet you for a beer.
Morris back again. Is Klopp off the line tomorrow? Now, as far as I know, he's not. He's all.
I think he's okay. I think he's okay
for tomorrow. I'd say it'd be the Leeds game if they're going to do anything. I'd say.
Yeah. Big week coming up, as you say. Every week's a big week. If we can just get as many points as we can. Up to the World Cup, as you say, hopefully we'll have the likes of Jota Diaz back and, you know, that type of thing. It'll be Christmas then at that stage, and Santa Claus might deliver something in January for us. You never know. Under the tree, under the Anfield tree, baby. I've got to go.
Absolutely.
Look, I'm going to go win tomorrow.
Before you go, give us a prediction before you go.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-1. I think it'll be a tough game. 2-1 the Reds. Salah with a brace. I just hope we win. No injuries. I'll take the 3 points and move on. Be Robin Hood, and let the Sheriff of Nottingham be on VAR.
Brilliant. Listen, great to have you on, Dave. Appreciate you jumping on.
I'll get you on my
Enjoy. We'll touch base probably over the weekend.
Take care.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, pal. Cheers.
Baby.
Thanks.
Let's go.
Absolutely. Morris, you won't be needed on the line tomorrow anyway, gents. Demolition. God, I hope so, Morris. I find it hard to think that way and stuff like that. Let's get into anyway some team news. Fair play to Dave's LFC chats. Get onto Dave's channel there and make sure you subscribe to it and all. Absolutely brilliant. Great content every single week. Let's get a bit of team news here. For Forest, Colback is out. Musa is out. Richards is out. All set to miss out. Toffolo picked up a knock after 17 minutes after coming on against Brighton in midweek. Lodi availability may be okay. RDA might drop out and Neco Williams shifts out to his favoured right back role. Lewis O'Brien could also be back. Jesse Lingard's place obviously at risk. Emmanuel Dennis might pop in there, and I want to push for a recall. So yeah, missing a few players and stuff like that. But I suppose when you sign 22 players in a single transfer window, you're probably going to be all right. Callback must be about 60. Yeah, Morris, that was, I tell you, mad. No, without a doubt. For Liverpool, obviously Jota out. Very sad for him missing the World Cup as well after picking up that injury. Diaz, as we know, is out. Konate, he's out at the moment, potentially back in training, but should be back around early next week. Artemelo, we know, is out. Keita, as far as I know, is back in training, but the gaffer said today he wouldn't make it in time for this game. So we don't know. Might be on the bench for the Ajax game and might be in for the Leeds game. Matip obviously out. Thinking, will Klopp opt for changes with the Ajax game on the horizon, you know? Obviously, talking about today at the press conference, he was talking about Nunes having to be checked with that hamstring. Whipped him off the other day just as a precaution. So we'll see. I'm sure he may not risk him with the Ajax game on the horizon, I would say. So that might change things up a little bit. I will pull up a predicted 11 in a minute. We'll go through it. We might put some changes to it and stuff like that. Obviously, the big question, as Morris asked already, will the gaffer be in the dugout? By all sounds, the gaffer will be in the dugout. Nothing reported today anyway. So my guess is if he gets a one match, he's going to miss Leeds. I can't see them coming any harder than that, even though people out there like Eddie Howe is a guy on this podcast that we respect greatly. Myself and Darren talk about Eddie Howe all the time. But to be going off like that and talking like that, you know, when you're the manager of a club that's financed in a certain way, let's say, I think you shouldn't be talking like that, Eddie Howe. It's an emotional game. Tensions flare up. It was a big game. You seen Pep today came out and apologised for the Man City fans after their chants after the game the other day. So fair play to Pep coming out. Yeah, so Forest possible lineup: Henderson, Williams, Cook, McKenna, Lodi, Mangala, Yates, Troyer, Gibbs, White, Dennis, and Johnson. Some interesting players in there. Gibbs, White has looked really good. We know how good Emmanuel Dennis can be. We've seen him operate already. Brennan Johnson, really good. Neco Williams at the back there. We know how good he is. Started out really good for Forest this season and then just fell off slightly. But it'll be interesting to see what way they set up. For Liverpool, I had picked a starting 11, but it was on the basis of Nunes potentially starting, but that might change now. So what I think he'll probably go with Ali, of course, in goals, who is by far, it wouldn't be a stretch to say, our best player. I'm thinking of going Milner at the back and probably save Trent for the Ajax game. Again, I wasn't overly impressed with Trent in the West Ham game, but Milner came in, was absolutely outstanding for the Man City game, and I'm sure he must have been well peeved that he got hooked for the West Ham game after putting in that performance. But again, we don't want him playing 3 games in a week at 37 years of age. So I think Milner might go in for this one. I'd be surprised if he isn't. Gomez and Van Dijk picked themselves, obviously, with Matip and Konate out. The question is, does he go with Robbo here and then use Costas in the Ajax game with those balls, those deliveries, those pinpoint deliveries into the box and stuff like that? I think he'll go with Robbo here because this, as I said, it's a tough old school English ground. Fans kind of on top of you. And I think Robbo loves that. He relishes in that kind of situation. So I think he'll stick with Robbo tomorrow. In the middle, Fabinho and Thiago. Again, he might not risk Fabinho, so it might be Hendo. Thiago, there was talk today that Thiago might be rested for the Ajax game, but to be honest, I think if you take Thiago out of there, I think you're sucking out so much movement, passing, and creativity. We've seen when Thiago comes out just how blunt it can get at times, and I think we need to be really careful there. I'd be more inclined to probably start him, try and get a few goals on the board, make it a little bit comfortable, and then maybe hook him and stuff like that. But I think he's absolutely essential in there. Again, not to the point where he could get injured and then he misses out on the Ajax game, which would be an absolute disaster. But I don't think we can afford to be hooking him out of there at the moment. But we'll see. And then I went with a 3 and a 1 there. So the 3 I went with was Elliott, Firmino, and Carvalho. Again, you could change the formation slightly if Núñez isn't in there. Núñez up front. My thinking was play Núñez and rest Salah. But if Núñez is carrying a slight knocker, doesn't pass that late check or whatever it is, Salah will go in there. Obviously, Núñez will come out, and you might drop into a different kind of formation. You might even go with a 4-4 kind of 2, but it'd be a 1-2 if you know what I mean, or a 1-1. So Carvalho would drop back into midfield. Elliott would drop back slightly into midfield. So you'd be playing with the 4-4-2 essentially, but Bobby just in behind Salah. But we'll see what he's going to pick. That was kind of my thinking, waiting for the update for Núñez and stuff like that. But yeah, again, that should be a side that's more than capable of beating Nottingham Forest. No disrespect to Forest, but they've been god awful this season. Terrible goal difference, rooted to the bottom with 6 points, I think, and only 1 win all season. So surely we're not going to go out at lunchtime tomorrow and change that. And it would be really good for us as well to go out and actually put the points on the board early as well, get those 3 points, and then head off back and get ready then for the Ajax game. In terms of key battles, I looked at key battles here. Some of the key battles I'm looking at on matchups. Neko, obviously, and Elliott will be a really, really good one. Really looking forward to that one if that's the way he goes with it. Cook on Núñez would be Cook on Salah if that changes and he doesn't make it. Robertson and Mangala will be a good one. Van Dijk and Gibbs White, that's going to be an interesting one. And then Gomez and Brennan Johnson will be good. And of course, Firmino and McKenna would be very interesting as well. Some interesting shouts there, but some interesting matchups there. The Neko Elliott one, I think, is going to be a real cool one if it goes down. And I'm really looking to see Robertson Mangala. That'd be pretty cool as well. Van Dijk, Gibbs White, yeah, all real good ones there. Should be really, really interesting. Had a look at the betting. Forest 11-1 at home. Nottingham Forest at the City Grounds 11-1. The draw is 9-2. And Liverpool are 1-4 on. Now again, we've seen in the past the betting doesn't always tell the tale, and you know that Forest and the crowd there are going to pick themselves up for a traditional, for a top 4 or top 6 club. They're going to go all out and stuff like that and really, really raise the game. Our resident referee in the comments tonight, come on the Forest. Less of that now. No need for that at all. But yeah, so that's what I'm thinking at the moment. Yeah, but the betting hasn't always told the tale of the game. Looking at a prediction, I think Liverpool might run out 3-0 winners. Hopefully they don't cough up a goal. I'd like another clean sheet as well. But I'd preferably like the game to be quite comfortable where we take control in the first half, score a few goals, kind of put the game to bed. And then if we want to make changes, stuff like that, we do have 5 substitutions. So it'll be really, really important to utilise them tomorrow with Ajax on the horizon and Leeds next week. Can't afford any more injuries, that's for sure. With Jota and Diaz out at the moment, we can't afford to lose Núñez as well. We only have I think we have the Ajax game, there's a Napoli game, there's a Carabao Cup game, and then I think we've 3 league fixtures. So we've got 5 or 6 games or whatever it is before the World Cup. We need to just see these games out and then regroup, take that time and stuff like that in to reassess and put our plans together for January, what we want to do, who we're going to bring in, and who we're going to try and get back to fitness as well from injury. Really, really key. So yeah, 3-0 to the Reds. Keep this winning run going. Really, really important for us. But let's get out there with a bit of swagger and a bit of confidence as well. And not be that team that coughs it up to the team that no one else is kind of being coughing up to. Come on, you Reds. Let's keep this going. Thanks to everyone in the comments. Morris, Mark, and anyone who jumped on. Obviously, thanks to Dave who jumped on. Go over, check out his channel there. Subscribe, the whole lot. Producing great content and stuff like that at the moment. And we will talk to you again real soon. Cheers.